We're turning our attentions to motorsport, and Irish motorsport, and Mondello Park was the place to be recently for round one of the Irish Drift Series, which drew serious crowds, over 16,000 people and many more watching online as well, and flying the flag for Clare in some style, I must say, where two brothers from Miltown Malbay, Niall and Jason McInerney, both delivered standout performances. Niall secured second place in the semi-pro competition on Saturday, while Jason matched that result in the pro competition the following day against some of the best drivers in the country. Niall and Jason McInerney, a very good morning to both of you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Alan.
Cheers, Alan. Thanks for having us.
Most importantly, well done. You've got your prizes with you. Impressive looking. I don't know what you call it, a trophy, a plaque, something of that nature.
A bit of both, yeah. Something to remember the day, anyways.
Exactly, something to remember today. Okay, look, we'll get to the event itself in just a bit, but take us back to, getting into motorsport. Niall, talk to us a bit about how you got a passion for it. Was it in the family? Was it through watching Formula One on telly, or the era of Michael Schumacher, or maybe more recent years?
Yeah, no, really, it wasn't particularly in the family. We're always kind of into cars, but to be honest, wasn't madly into motorsports until I seen drifting on social media, and kind of fell in love with it that way. And eventually we said, sure, we might as well go to one of the Irish championship rounds, and from there on we just fell in love with it, because just the whole speed of the cars, the smoke, the noises, we were just amazed. And I think that was summer of 2018, and from then on we just kept going to events, and some of Jason's friends were actually driving just at fun days drifting in Mondello at the time. So we said we'd actually, myself and Jason, we bought a car together, and it's actually the same car I drive to this day. But so we both went halves with the car and started just driving at fun practice days in the start of 2019 around.
Okay, so we're not going too far back in time. And Jason, for people not that au fait with motorsport or drifting in particular, describe what exactly that means.
So drifting originally, it would have originated in Japan, and it's basically when you're losing the rear traction of the rear tires, and then so the rear of the car would have stepped out, and then you're using the throttle and the steering wheel to control and hold that drift, keeping the car sideways while being in as much control as possible. And now it's a judge sport that we compete in. There's 3 judges, and in a competition format, you're going to have a lead driver and a chase driver. The judges at the start of the weekend, they set out the track layout, and then there's a briefing, and there's a massive amount of detail gone into as to what the perfect lead line for the lead driver in the battles is to try to accomplish. And then from there you have, that track layout, there's multiple clipping points throughout the track and transition points and certain decel areas which are set out. And basically the lead driver, when he's leading in a chase driver, he just needs to completely do his own thing and just fulfill those judging requirements to the best of his ability, and give that chase driver every opportunity to drive up on the door and have that consistent lead that you can just mirror in the chase.
Okay, even describing it, it sounds exciting, but getting involved in any sport and getting to a certain level can be difficult. And this is the point I've mentioned, say, when I've had great golfers from Clare on. There's obviously a cost that goes with the equipment and the lessons and everything else. You guys are taking it to the next level, having to purchase a car, not just any car. That requires, I guess, a deep passion, a deep commitment, and maybe even support of friends and family and so on. So how big an obstacle or hurdle was that to overcome, Niall? To you mentioned purchasing the car, to not just get that's like box number 1 ticked, but to go from there. And it's not like I can drive, but I don't think I couldn't do that. Getting good at drifting.
Yeah, no, 100%. There is a lot into it. First of all, you buy the car, but then you have to put in so many hours getting it ready before you can ever go to the track. There's with drifting, it's not just, you can't just drive a standard car and expect it to drift. You need to modify the handbrake, suspensions and power. You need to upgrade certain differentials and your axles to make sure your car will be reliable at the track. So yeah, for sure. I mean, we do build the cars mostly in-house ourselves, which lowers the costs for us. It means we only have to buy the parts, but the parts alone are crazy money. But
yeah, like how do you, I suppose, manage all of that, Jason? Okay, you're able to kind of do the work on your own cars, but buying the parts, again, like with, average driver here, average car, and anytime I have to get anything for it, I'm always afraid of how many zeros are going to be at the end of the price. And I'd imagine for the type of vehicles you're driving, some serious money required.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
how many banks have you robbed?
I'd be open to robbing any if I've an insider little scoop, some insider information there. But no, it is mental. But it's you nearly have to brainwash yourself in a way. Like, once you're in it, you're really in it. Like, I started competing in 2023, and since then I would have finished college in 22, got my job in, say, September of 2022, and then I was like, all right, let's give competing a go, and let's give it a proper shot. And since then I bought just a bare shell and then upgraded everything slowly from there. Got out competing for my first year, but every year since then, now back in 23 I had quite a good year, and I ended up gaining my pro license at the end of that year. So then I went straight into pro. But even then, the jump needed to compete with the top drivers and the class of cars and the standard there and the power, that took another massive investment. And even like the year after that, another massive investment just to keep chipping away at the level of the car to try to match kind of that top echelon of drivers, and just to try be as competitive as possible. And like, we give everything into it as is. Like, we live and absolutely breathe drifting, but we put in massive work as well to try to fight for the top steps and to give ourselves every opportunity, and our family, friends, everyone really puts in as much effort for us to try to get those results. So yeah, it's kind of, we're just burning the candle at both ends, really, just to really try achieve as much as possible and to give it the best shot possible, because the money that you spend on it, like, it's not sustainable. Yeah. Well, it's sustainable at the minute, but I'm 28 and I'm pushing on, and there's
is that where maybe sponsorship comes into it? If you can reach a certain level and certain level of ability and notoriety or public profile, maybe people will row in behind you and give you a few quid.
100%, yeah, because like, the Irish Championship is one of the best national championships in the world. The drivers are incredible. So if you can make your mark there, that is the dream, and the goal is to try to chip away and get the results, and then get that kind of notice from sponsors, and then kind of alleviate some of the pressure. But yeah, it's a tough ask.
How do you, both of you, or maybe you took a different approach to this, Niall, get better? Because with hurling or football or soccer or whatever, you might have your idols that you see on TV or whatever. You go to the matches, and then maybe you're joining a team and you're learning from a coach. If it's golf, you're getting lessons at a club. Who were you guys learning from? Or are you just kind of researching and picking up tips online, or watching videos of other great drift drivers? Or how did you both go about that, getting better?
Yeah,
and knowing what to do right and what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a mix of, for sure, we do watch our favourite drivers, and we're fortunate that in Ireland we have some of the best drivers in the world. So kind of watching onboard videos of how they drive, and of course getting practice yourself in the car is the best way, but that alone is so expensive. And when you enter, so like before competitions, we don't really get much practice. And then on a competition weekend, you'll have a practice day on the Friday, but with around 120 drivers at the track, you're lucky to get a maximum of 10 laps, I'd say. So one tool we do use, which helps us, is a simulator at home on the computer, which is actually very realistic. And there we're able to do thousands of laps and we're not burning a hole into our pockets.
The doing it, I would imagine, Jason, there's a great buzz. It must be a real adrenaline rush.
Oh, it's insane, especially after a long winter of working away on the car and just
you're chomping at the bit to get out on the track.
Yeah, exactly. And like the cars make insane power, and the tyres we run, massive semi-slick tyres, and my car makes 530 horsepower, and Mondello has the biggest run-in of the year. And like, I didn't even get a chance to test my car. Normally at the front of the house, do a few loops, just make sure everything's working.
Yeah.
But the first run-in this year was just given the go-ahead on the start line and fired into the first corner. And, from there, you're approaching 120, 130 kilometres, and then you're just flicking the car 90 degrees and just full throttle. It's insane. It's addicting, and like, we've sacrificed a lot for drifting, but the buzz that it gives us is just absolutely mental. Oh,
I'd say you're on a serious high when you get out of the car. No, but I mean, with that, you have to be aware of the potential dangers, given the top speeds and the cars and all that. What is it like in that aspect in terms of making sure everything's as safe as possible?
Yeah, for sure. Look, we're fortunate that, the championship are very strict about safety regulations. So, we do have full fire suits on with gloves, boots, hands devices to protect our necks, and roll cage, all fire suppression systems. So look, it is dangerous, but in terms of motorsports, it's definitely one of the safest ones to get into, compared to rallying or something else like that.
Talk to us then a bit about the event itself. Niall, your second place, and the amount of drivers involved. What was it like, and what was it like when you found out you'd finished second?
It was great. I actually finished third, but
okay, well, we've bumped you up to second.
So no, it was amazing. Like, the whole weekend was hectic in itself, because first lap of practice I went out and I did most of the track, and then suddenly my steering just stopped. It got insanely heavy, and turned out that the power steering hose went in the car. So
what do you do in that moment?
I just had to fly over to a garage nearby, and they made me up a line, thank God. But I wasn't able to get out then until the final practice. So I think I got 4 laps of practice on Friday before heading into competition on Saturday. And there's, in the Pro 2 Championship, there's 84 drivers, so I have to qualify in the top 32 of those. So you need to make sure that you're hitting the perfect line that the judges want. So, and then actually on my first qualifying lap, my car won't go into second gear, so I kind of messed up the first corner. So all the pressure was on the second and final qualifying lap, but luckily I got a 91.7 out of 100 and qualified 5th. So that took a lot of pressure off. And
but that just shows you the level of competitions there. You got to finish in the top 32 out of 84, and then to ultimately finish third. Yeah. That's got to be, it's a great buzz to, and you get the award. But that's got to be yet another, particularly your semi-pro, and another great step towards reaching the next level. And I guess validation for both of you of that you made the right choice in pursuing this as a passion, as a career, whatever it might be.
Yeah, for sure. Like, after the tough times, you'd kind of doubt yourself, and you're spending so much money, and you wouldn't be sure if you should keep pursuing it, or if you should just go down and find a cheaper hobby or something. But well, look,
stamp collecting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get the same buzz though, would you? No. What about yourself, Jason? Talk to us about your event.
Yeah, a hectic start. We got a bit of sleep, 6 hours sleep. Said we'd get to the track early to just do a bowl check, finish up some things, find out the fuel tank is leaking. So then that changed.
Is this a common thing before every event? There's always a problem,
yeah,
or is it just?
Now this is on the Sunday. This was no issue on the Friday practice or Saturday, but just land to the track and then the fuel tank is just leaking. But anyways, that that set off a bit of pressure, and then we're looking for every sort of a chemical compound to kind of seal up this alloy tank. But we got it band-aided up and got on my way, but only got 2 laps of practice, 1 lead lap, which is, you know, most important before qualifying, and that was kind of iffy enough. But yeah, went out for qualifying then, and you know, I think there was maybe mid 40 something drivers. Niall went up ahead of me because the top 4 from the previous day in Pro 2, they complete their laps first. Niall kicked it off with an 89.1, so he set the bar for me. I made a few mistakes the first run. I think 84.7. Wasn't too happy, but then cleaned it up on the second run, 88. So he took the nod over me there. But yeah, like 2 laps in the morning, like you get those 2 laps in, and then you're waiting probably 2 hours to go back out then for your top 32 battle, and you just have to turn it on. Basically, when you get to the line, like, you know, you're wondering, Jesus, is my muscle memory gonna do the thing when I get there? But you know, it just all clicks when you're going down the straight. But yeah, I had some insane battles. So much fun driving with some of the drivers I was against. Like, they're top drivers. Like, the lead line that they provide you, especially when you're chasing, gives you every opportunity to be as aggressive as possible and dive onto the door, and you can just trust them 100%. Like, with the amount of smoke, you would need that, because you're going blind through the transitions, popping through the smoke and hoping you're going to end up where you think you will, and that they are where they should be on the track. But like, you know, it's just a credit to the level of driving that everyone has. But yeah, went on throughout the day, got to battle a Drift Masters driver in the top 4, Fionn Roach, and he'd have one of the Shannon's cars, so that was pretty sick to get to battle someone like him. And then we had an unbelievable battle, and then made it through to the final, where I was against Jakub Krzyzak. Jakub is an incredible driver. We actually started off in Pro 2 together in the Rookie Championship in 2023, and he's had extreme success since then. But yeah, in that final, he's quite a powerful car. I think 850 horsepower, and I think mine's like about 530, so I really had to give it everything in the chase. I was chasing him first, so I had to. A lot of these cars are more powerful than mine, so like with that massive run up, it's basically a drag race to the first corner, so I have to jump the line each time and really try to time it properly. But I was delighted, timed it, slotted in through clips 1, 2, 3, and then I was just lining up the transition going into the second corner, and I just misjudged it, ended up clipping him, ended up losing intercooler pipe, smashing my oil cooler, and yeah, then things got pretty hectic.
Well, look, you ultimately prevailed to come second, and I guess for both of you, look, proof that you're on the right track, pardon the pun. So look, congratulations to both of you. Look forward to keeping an eye on your respective journeys, and thank you so much for joining us this morning, and well done again, Niall and Jason McInerney, lads. Thanks very much for being with us on Morning Focus.